Welcome back to First and Gold. I'm your host, Sam Gold, and today I will be breaking down all the fun details you guys missed from Week 5 of the 2025 NFL season. It was a fun one, so let's get right into it and roll the intro.
Casey Karate Kid with the arrow and chop. Nobody can touch us when it's lonely at the top.
All right, now it's time for the 3-minute drill, which is the first segment of this episode, which of course is where we go through all the games in which I'm not going to get into too much detail about, but of course I'm going to talk about every game. I mean, that's just what you have to do. So let's start in London with Vikings-Browns. I think that was a better accent than the Ireland one. We'll see. Comment down below. But the Vikings win it on a last-second touchdown, 21-17. Al, I bet you're happy. They have a winning record. But man, story of the game was Jordan Addison on a roller coaster ride. He was benched the entire first quarter of that game because he was out skipping walkthroughs out in the town in London, got in trouble. So he took a seater, and then at the end, he revived the team with a game-winning touchdown. And the only thing else I'll have to say is that I don't want to ever have to wake up early in the morning again to watch Carson Wentz play football. I don't care if he orchestrated the game-winning drive. I'm sick of it, and I'm done. And then the Raiders get absolutely obliterated by the Colts, 40-6, which at this point, it's been a nice career. He revived it a few years ago, but I think it's time to take a look at benching Geno Smith. He has 9 interceptions on the season, the most in the NFL right now, and it just doesn't look like things are getting turned around from here. As the opposite side, Daniel Jones is having his Geno Smith moment, hopefully better than that, because honestly, he's been an MVP candidate. They have another blowout win at home. They're 4-1, and they're the number 1 seed in the AFC currently. So props to the Colts. They're for real and one of the best teams in the league. And then the Cowboys just belt to ass on the New York Jets. And I'm closing the book on the Jets this year. I'm done. I'm not talking about them anymore unless someone gets fired or something major happens. They're 0-4. They're the only winless team left. And woof. That's all I got to say. But for the Cowboys, nice thing I will say about the Cowboys is they're a fun team to watch. Regardless if they're going to end up making the playoffs or not this year, they're one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. And Dak Prescott already getting MVP chance, which you know what? Not too mad about it because, yeah, he's looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and one of the best offenses. Okay, and then just another absolute blowout. Texans-Ravens, 44-10. The Texans go into Baltimore, make themselves a sandwich, and leaves. And man, this was only the second time in CJ Stroud's career which he had 3+ touchdown passes, which is hard to believe. But hey, if they can string along a bunch of nice couple of wins after this, they're actually going to have a chance to make the playoffs, which is not something I thought a couple weeks ago. For the Ravens, another team that I am this close to putting to sleep for the season. I know they have injuries. It's not even that at this point. It's the fact that every single game they've went out the last 2 weeks, and it just looks like they've given up completely. And the psyche is not there anymore, and they just look deflated. And then the Giants, after beating the Chargers at home, go into New Orleans and lose the game. I will say Spencer Rattler, just not that bad. Definitely not a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I feel like that's the nicest thing I can say. As for Jackson Dart, he's getting his growing pains out. He had a few turnovers in this one. Just a lot of costly ones for the Giants. Cannot happen. And it's just not a great game to have if you're going through growing pains because you have a really tough schedule coming after this, and it would have been nice to at least be 2-3. But here we are, the Giants at 1-4. The Lions beat the Bengals 37-24. Yikes. I don't care if Jake Browning was like God in the fourth quarter. He's got to be benched. I know they're not going to do it because Zach Taylor already said he's the guy going forward, but man, that was probably one of the toughest games of football I've ever had to watch from a quarterback for at least 3 quarters. For the Lions, Super Bowl contenders. They're one of the best offenses in the NFL. They keep it up, and I haven't really talked a lot about them this season since week 1. They're right on track where they were last year. Congrats to them. And then finally, Chargers-Commanders. The Commanders win 27-10. I will say this, I'm going to keep a close eye out on them right now because I think Jaden Daniels has a lot of growing to do this season, and the fact that he came back 1 game from injury and already lit it up about 3 quarters in this game, they're going to be dangerous. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, shout out because he was running all over the Chargers, and the Chargers cannot stop a thing. Their offensive line is deteriorating, and now they're 3-2, just like that after starting 3-0. Okay, there you go. I definitely went over that time. I'm sorry. I just think we're in store for a lot of fun things to keep happening. So we'll see what happens as we go into the Pick 6 segment. All 6 games I want to get more in depth about as we go all the way back to Thursday Night Football, 49ers, Rams. and the 49ers, broken down, beaten up, go into LA, which basically looked like a home game for them if you saw the picture of the crowd. That was crazy. But they win the game and stick their pin in the first place slot in the NFC West, which is something I was not expecting. Now, a lot of people had it as a blowout for the Rams. I still thought it was going to be a close game, but the Rams were going to win it. And they were close, but man, this is a testament to how mentally strong this 49ers team is right now. And I don't know if it's the motivation because Mac Jones is playing some of the best football of his life, or is it the fact that they already went out and won their first 3 games? They probably thought to themselves, okay, we're not giving away the season early. We actually have a chance to go out and make the playoffs again. You can say what you want about Kyle Shanahan and all the woes he's had in the previous years in the playoffs, but those are guys that still want to go out and win for him. And he's still one of the best coaches in the NFL. And I do feel like he always gives Sean McVay a hard time when they play each other. Now, the Rams, for the most part, have actually gotten pretty lucky. I didn't know what to expect. And I think you really got to give props to Mac Jones here, first and foremost. He had a phenomenal game. He was basically being bruised and battered the entire time. And there was times where he was leaving the field where it looked like, okay, is this like a season-ending injury? And then there was times where he got the wind knocked out of him and he was just heaving the entire time, like walking off to the sideline. And I was like, okay, I feel like it's time for the Niners to kind of start giving up and maybe, they're slowing down. They're really getting destroyed here. Everything kind of went to a boiling point with that final play where you saw Kyren Williams try to get the 4th and 1 conversion. And the 49ers were like, no, we're going to put up a brick wall right now. We're not walking out of here unless we have the top spot in this division. And that was extremely impressive to see. Now, on the Rams side of things, I was just really disappointed with how they have basically given away 2 games this season. I have them as almost a Super Bowl contender, and the fact that Stafford has been healthy and looks really, really good makes me even more confident in that take. But now they've dropped 2 games. They're 3-2. They easily could have won the Eagles game. They blew that one towards the end. Like, I get it. They were trusting his guy to get a yard, and I do actually agree with going for it instead of kicking the field goal, because kicking the field goal is basically saying, all right, we're just going to take the tie, which I don't like that at all. So I commend Sean McVay for being very aggressive on the play call, but overall, man, like, the Rams, like, they're going to make the playoffs, but they are just screwing up their seeding right now, and I just don't like the ways they're losing these games. It's so close. It's devastating. So a huge win for the 49ers. As we move on to the 1 o'clock slate, the game behind me. As a Chiefs fan, this is bittersweet because I just wanted both teams to lose, to be honest. But the Broncos head into Philly, and I almost picked it as an upset. And then I kind of was just like, you know what? I've been doing this all season with the Eagles. I'm actually just going to pick a 2-score win for the Eagles. And then, of course, this is the week they actually end up losing at home. I mean, where do I want to start? This is their first loss with Jalen Hurts starting since week 4 of last season. So that's already crazy to think about, that Eagles fans really haven't had this feeling in a long time. Welcome to my world, because we started 9-0 last year after winning a Super Bowl. I don't want people to get too upset with how the Eagles are winning because it's working, and I feel like they just found a formula to play enough good football at certain times, even if it looks ugly, and they just kind of come out and make the best plays when it matters, and they win. But this time it caught up to them. I mean, eventually it was going to happen. They were playing in so many close games this year. The games they were mostly winning, Jalen Hurts was throwing like 150 yards and 1 touchdown. And then this time he goes out, throws for almost 300 and multiple touchdowns, and they lose. So it's kind of like a mind F for some people. But overall, this sucks saying this as a Chiefs fan, but I have to give it up to the Broncos. Like, they showed absolute grit. I mean, this is a tough game to go out and win after kind of the roller coaster start of a 2-2 season you guys had. I mean, you had a Monday Night Football game before this. That's tough coming off of a short week like that, and then going into Philly in a game where it just felt like your backs were against the wall, especially after going down 17-3 late in the third quarter. And I was just like, damn, like, yeah, I guess the Eagles are really putting it to them right now. Their defense is playing really well today. Hurts is throwing the ball around, and it looks like they're finally going to have more of a complete win. And then Bo Nix comes out of nowhere, throws some absolute dots in the fourth quarter. They had 2 touchdown drives. Sean Payton had the balls to go for 2 there late in the fourth quarter. Got it, went up by 1 point. And then the rest was history, because I know they've been winning games, the Eagles, but I need to see a little bit more out of Saquon Barkley. I mean, what was it, 6 carries in this game or something? Like, That's unacceptable. I know he had the huge passing play touchdown, but you got to figure out something here with these star players, because you can't just play game managing football every single game this year. And I know it's been working, but take it from the Chiefs fan from last year. It's not going to work all the way up to winning a Super Bowl, I can tell you that. Yeah, this was bound to happen at some point. And Eagles fans, I know you're upset, but look, I mean, you haven't really dealt with a feeling like this in a long time, so I don't feel that bad. All right, moving on to Panthers Dolphins. I cannot believe, after all the shit I got from the clip I posted and the things I said in the prediction episode, that this made it onto the pick six. Of course it did. Of course this happened. Of course it was probably the best game of the 1 o'clock window, unless you're gonna argue that Eagles were, but I think this was the best game. 27-24, the Panthers win. First of all, shout out the podcast, the Meow Mix, in the Panthers circle. They came out with a statement this week saying that after 6 years of covering the Panthers on a podcast, they have given up and they are shutting down the channel for now, and they have to take a hiatus because they have families and kids to take care of, and they can't spend the majority of their time talking about this franchise anymore. And you know what? I don't blame them. But how hilarious is it that immediately afterwards, the Panthers go out and have a extremely exciting win where Bryce Young has a huge comeback story and takes them to a W to go to 2-3. I don't understand it. How do you go out and win 30-0 against the Falcons, and then you get your ass kicked in New England, and then you go out and win a shootout at home again against the Dolphins? They're so confusing. They are just effing with the minds of their fans week after week, and I fully expect them to get blown out next week because that's just how it works. And there was a point where Bryce Young just didn't even know what a snap was, and it just hit him right in the hands, and it fell out, and he got decked by a defensive tackle and lost the ball, and then they were down 17-0, and I was just like, all right, is it time to see Andy Dalton for the third time in Panthers franchise history? I guess. And then they just come back, and like, Bryce Young looks great in the fourth quarter, especially. He made that 4th and 5 throw. Pretty much any highlight from this game was fully hyped up because shout out Eric Collins. If you don't know who that is, he is the Hornets broadcast announcer for the NBA, of course. And I've known him for years because I've seen so many viral clips of him just going off.
McClain running out of time. What do you got? McClain! He's still on his feet! Oh my goodness! It's caught! Unbelievable!
He just loves screaming into the mic in a way that's not too loud, but just shows all of the passion that he has at the same time. He's kind of a mix of Kevin Harlan and Gus Johnson, which honestly I think might be the biggest compliment I've ever given to an announcer. And I'm going to be honest, he might be my favorite NFL announcer of all time. Man, please, for the love of God, I know they only had him on the game because he's from Charlotte. This has to be the opening ticket for him to start calling more NFL games because that dude was awesome.
Tungo Bailoa has Waddle! He's open! Touchdown! And Donald, look at him! What kind of speed do you get, young man? To the end zone. Achan, did he? He did!
One last thing I'll say is uniform matchup of the week if Bucs Seahawks didn't exist, which is the next game we're going to be talking about. Look at that segue. But 38-35, and talk about a perfect storm of aesthetics. You got probably the best uniform matchup you're going to see all season. You have one of the best shootouts you're going to see all season between 2 3-1 teams. And then you have Kevin Harlan calling the game. I mean, is that just not chef's kiss masterpiece to start it off? Everything that I've been thinking about since watching this game is how so close, but so far Sam Darnold got in this game. And it's almost hard to be like, Sam Darnold lost us the game because he took us throughout the entire game playing so well. And that's how Baker has felt a lot of the time. And Baker happened to be on the bright side of things in this one because the Bucs won it, but man, I just felt the energy of the crowd get just the rug pulled right out from under them when that play happened. And that sucks because it takes away from all the greatness that just happened. And that's just what happens sometimes. And you got to give props to the Bucs for making a big play because their defense was struggling all day. I know they have injuries, but the fact that they went out there 3-1, division on the line, seeding on the line, head-to-head on the line, and they made the biggest play when it was possible. Bravo to them. And that was an absolute masterclass of a game. That was so much fun to watch. I thought that both quarterbacks proved that they can easily be top 10 this year. I mean, Baker was already top 10 in my books, but yeah, they were just guys that, I mean, talk about Ohio State wide receivers in this one. Emeka Ibuka, and then on the other side, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Sometimes chaos is a lot of fun, and like when bad football becomes just crazy, like that's awesome to watch. And we'll get to that Titans game after this, which is what I'm hinting at. But when you watch just two beautiful offenses going tit for tat, I think that's even better. I do think it sucks seeding-wise for the Seahawks to lose this game, especially since the Niners ended up winning this week. I wouldn't hang their heads way too low. Shout out AJ Barner as well, had 2 touchdowns. I believe he had one last week as well. And he's kind of emerging as a new weapon for the Seahawks, so shout out. But just looking at the two quarterbacks playing, I believe there's not that much to worry about, and I think you got to just take this game for what it was, and it was just a really fun shootout where both teams deserve to win it at the end. So there you go. That was a lot of fun. As we move on to the game I just foreshadowed, Titans Cardinals. I called it. 22-21. The Tennessee Titans. My upset alert of the week came true. Boom. And that serves justice for how my upset alert and my lock of the week got destroyed 2 weeks ago in the span of 10 seconds. So I'll take it. Yeah, where do I even start with this game? Do I want to start positive, or do I want to start by condemning a team that I really don't want to talk about for the rest of the season? Let's start positive. The Tennessee Titans have a fun player in Cam Ward. I almost said good player. He made some good plays, and he made a beautiful pass late in the game to set him up in field goal range. Absolute dime, I believe it was to Calvin Ridley. And the good news is that we'll get to the Cardinals' mistakes in a second, but hey, at least the Titans actually did something with it this time. I mean, they've played a couple of bad opponents previous to this, and they just really had no energy to do anything. And if anybody saw Cam Ward last week in his press conference, he laid it up for you, and he said, to be honest, we're just ass right now. And he was right. And they were ass in this game for a lot of it. But listen, Cam Ward at least is hungry, and he wants to go out there and try as hard as he can, even though he knows the team around him is not going to win many games this year. And that's the kind of leader you want on this team. He's such a young guy, but he already looks so matured in the way he's leading this team, and with his honesty as well. And I think that a lot of guys wanted to rally behind him when they finally felt that momentum shift late in the game. So definitely a positive sign for the Titans right there, even though I still think they're probably going to win like 3-4 games. Before the Cardinals, they started 2-0. Now they're 2-3. You guys wonder why I'm so dismissive of you week after week when it comes to our off-season ranking videos. And yeah, I play it off as a joke, but there's truth behind every joke. And I don't mean to be too harsh here, but I really do. And that you guys are so absolutely irrelevant because of games like this. And how are you going to go out here, be the oldest franchise in the NFL, play a team up 21-6, have a guy who made an error that was literally laughed at for the last week because the Colts made the same error to basically lose their game, and you're going to do that same thing? I don't care if it's Jim Brown out there. I'm cutting his ass on the spot. I don't care. Like, you cannot do that in 2025, especially the week after it just happened. And this one was more just, I don't know if you can call it luck or not, because he still dropped the ball, but when Cam Ward made that interception, for some reason, I just thought, oh, the guy picking it off for the Cardinals is going to fumble this somehow. And the split second after I thought that, he dropped the ball, and Tyler Lockett, of all people, a guy who has probably tortured Cardinals fans for years from the Seahawks, falls on it for the touchdown. Which is funny because this game isn't really put on Kyler Murray, which is what a lot of people have been hating on of the Cardinals the last few years, is his inconsistencies. Which, shout out Kyler Murray for getting a near concussion from a snap, which is an insane play to happen. But Marvin Harrison almost had that great touchdown, and then after that, he didn't really do much in the second half. And I just think overall, I'm ready to stop talking about the Cardinals. I can't. I gave them a chance. I try to joke about them, but there's a reason why they're so irrelevant year after year, and it's because of losses like this, and it's just God, it's disgusting. It's disgusting, and I'm over it. All right, finally, we have the upset of the week. I am way more happy about this than the Eagles game because the Patriots go into Buffalo and beat the Bills 23-20. Drake May, 2 words, but 1 word, really, underrated. And is he a top 12 quarterback right now? Don't know, because the Bills defense, low-key, is not that good at all. Man, you got to give him props. I feel like if there was a stage to set his talents on, to say like, hey, we're not the shitty Patriots we were last year. Hey, I'm not the rookie working out all the kinks with a horrible roster around me. We should have been 3-1 going into this game. And now we're going to go into Buffalo, a team that we actually know pretty well because we're division opponents, and beat them while I play really good as well. Yeah, that's a statement right there from Drake May. And I'm not mad about it because I like homegrown talent, and I like guys that are humble, and I like guys that go out there and admit their faults when it happens, and then they work on it the next 2 weeks, go out and have 2 big wins, and now you're 3-2, and now you're in the wild card race. So props to the Patriots for such a hard-fought win right there. Now it's time to have a conversation about the Buffalo Bills, because now that they finally lost a game, we can kind of skirt by the fact that they started 4-0, you know. Nick Wright, shout out on First Things First, also a Chiefs fan, of course, so, you know, I like him. Most people don't, but I do. He usually talks about the Bills as the annual September champions, and I thought it was funny. First game of October, they lose to the Patriots at home in primetime. I still think the Chiefs are going to meet up in Buffalo in the championship game. I just sense it happening. Those are my thoughts. The Bills still have a very easy schedule coming up. Once again, for it seems like the millionth year in a row, Josh Allen might have to start becoming Superman to overcome some of these really tough games where their defense sucks. And look, they only give up 23 points. It's not like they give up 40. But there were just these moments where the tackling was off. There was no pass rush. Their run defense was terrible. Drake May was running around all game, making plays. Like Stephon Diggs' revenge game, he had an amazing game, like over 130 yards or something. Overall, I'm genuinely worried because what if, this is just objectively speaking, what if the Chiefs are fully healthy with a good offensive line, Rice, Worthy, and Mahomes playing his ass off, and they head into Buffalo, and the Bills kind of just have the same defense? I just don't see them getting out of the AFC again. So this is not just recency bias and a jumpy reaction to this specific game. I've been kind of feeling this behind the scenes all season, but since they've been winning, fine, I don't have to talk about it yet. But like, if Josh Allen is going to turn the ball over at all, which he's been limiting that a lot the last couple seasons, like that's going to be an issue because the defense, when they're out there tired, they don't really have the talent to go out there and make a lot of stops. Overall, they got to limit their penalties as well. That's a big one. But yeah, that was a upset to watch, and that was a lot of fun for me, especially. No Chiefs coverage this episode because the Chiefs play tonight as we're filming this, Chiefs-Jaguars. So hopefully they get the win there. There you go. There's your week 5 recap in the books. Man, I can't believe week 6 is next week, but you know, that's just the NFL season. It goes by way quicker than any other part of the year, which sucks, but we're having fun, and I hope you guys are having fun watching these videos too. If you are, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below your favorite moment from week 5 of the NFL. And guys, please don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at First and Gold as well. It's been a lot of fun doing these videos, as we'll see you for the next one, the week 6 predictions. Goodbye.